Hey there, it's CJ Willie and I'm cracking a pack. Today is pack number 1 of my Magic the Gathering Ikoria Lair of Behemoths bundle. Check out my preview video on my Ikoria bundle as I explain the concept of what is your pick. I've added the link to the preview video in the description below. So anyway, what is your pick? What does that mean? So, as I explained in the preview video, my friends and I like to get together and buy a booster box of the newest set, and then we'll do a draft. So in our play group, there's 4 of us, myself and 3 friends, and we will do 3 rounds of draft. What we'll do is we will, as I show off my packs in the bundle, 1 through 10, we will do 3 rounds of draft. So we'll sit down and we'll do the first round of draft, typical draft. You know, we'll go around the table and select cards. And then what we'll do is we'll head off against one another, and at the end of the first round, we'll total up the records. We'll play a second round of draft, we'll total up the records, and then we'll play a third round of draft and total up the records until we get a final record. And then once we're done, all the commons and uncommons that you've picked through the packs you keep. But then we take all the rares, mythic rares, and we put them back into a pile on the table. And then based upon best record to worst record out of the 3 rounds of draft, we'll then do another draft. So you'll take turns, you'll draft a rare, a mythic rare, and those you'll keep. It's kind of a fun way to do it. We tried a whole bunch of different rounds initially. Like I said in one of the previous videos, we've done like 25 booster boxes. At first, we didn't play with the rares or mythic rares because we thought it gave too much of an unfair advantage, so you just build packs out of commons or uncommons. And then we got to the format that we currently do, where we'll do the 3 rounds of draft. You don't get to keep the rares or mythic rares, you put them back into a pile. And then what that means is when we do our first pick, or what is our pick, a lot of times the first pick out of the pack isn't a rare or mythic rare, it may be an uncommon. Because you're going to keep that card, and sometimes we'll build around more of the uncommons than we will the rares. But anyway, here we go. So as I go through each of these cards, it's going to be from a very casual Magic the Gathering player perspective, not necessarily based upon what the pros love or you know, what happens in like really aggressive or high stakes picks. It's basically just kind of a casual format, what we find fun and what we like to build around. So in our drafts, we take a lot more chances on building around an uncommon or some commons than we would, you know, the rares and mythic rares that others might do if they're in like a Friday Night Magic draft or like a pro draft. So anyway, first card of the pack is Mysterious Egg. It's 1 generic mana. It's an egg. It's a 0/2. Whenever this creature mutates, put a +1/+1 counter on it. I had a lot of fun with this card. I draft it. It's an early play. It's a 0/2. It sits there. And by turn 3 at least, or 4 or 5, there's going to be something mutated on. It gets it countered. Most often or not, when I play this card, I'd get to at least mutate it once, and then it would usually die because there is a lot of, destroy target creature in this format, or exile target creature. Next is Startling Development. So 2 mana, 1 and a blue, instant until end of turn. Target creature becomes a blue serpent with base power and toughness 4/4, has cycling 1. So I didn't get an opportunity to play this card. I drafted it once in a blue-white deck I was playing, but it didn't seem to fit, and it really didn't seem to work in the strategy that I had because it was a little more blue-white flyers. Though I did have this played against me one time, and combat-wise, yeah, it wrecked me. I wasn't expecting it, and it was something where either it was going to be a trade in combat or I was going to win combat, and I ended up losing my creature. Cycling 1, I don't know, really helps the card out so much because usually it's a combat trick, unless in a really dire situation you'd cycle it. Bushmate Poachers next. It's 4 mana, 3 and a black. It's a human soldier. It's a 2/4. You can pay 1 generic, tap it, sacrifice another creature. You gain life equal to that creature's toughness. Draw a card. I didn't draft this either. One of my friends did, and it actually ended up winning him the game because he was able to sacrifice a couple of creatures, stay in the game, and then win out in a very, very tight match. And so it doesn't look like much on face value, being a 2/4 for 4, but there are a number of creatures that have big butts, and so being able to sacrifice them, gain some life, helps you kind of win the long game. Next card is Heightened Reflexes. It's a single red mana. It's an instant target creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Put a first strike counter on it. So kind of an interesting Kindled Fury. Kindled Fury has the same cost, except for Kindled Fury only gives first strike for that time being, and not first strike counter on the creature. Great combat trick. Played it a couple of times, and it was good in that because the first strike counter stayed. It really made that creature difficult to deal with. Coordinated Charge, 5 mana, 4 and a white. It's an instant. Creatures you control get +2/+1 until end of turn, cycling 2. So I ended up drafting this a couple of times. Late picks, like 22nd, 23rd picks. Neither time did I put it in my deck. Neither time did I really want to play it. For me, it just seemed that 5 mana to give all my creatures a buff was a little slow, whereas there's a mutate creature that does that. And then the cycling, it wasn't a card that I was interested in playing. Wingfold Terran, 6 mana, 5 and a white, dinosaur. It's a 3/6. Wingfold Terran enters the battlefield with your choice of a flying counter or a hexproof counter on it. I thought this card was going to be more of a bomb than it ended up being. It did win me one game by having a 3/6 hexproof on the ground to block, but there was a lot of times where I felt like, oh, I want a 3/6 flyer. It's going to help me do damage in there. More often than not, by the time I got to the late game with this creature, it was just a 3/6 hexproof on the ground blocker. And at that point, it became a little too expensive. I thought it was going to be an awesome creature. It wasn't. In my opinion, it went from being like, a definite B or a C card into my deck to a D card, hoping I had something else to play. Solid Footing, 1 single white, enchantment aura, flash, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1. As long as enchanted creature has vigilance, it assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. In the final draft, I had this setup where I had 2 main servants and 2 solid footing, and I thought I'm going to go to town because main servant's a 1/4. You slap the sonnet to 2/5. When you attack, it's dealing 5 damage. I never got the combo once. So in a very small draft pool or deck, 40 card deck, 2 solid footings, 2 main servants, I thought this was going to make some hay, be an awesome combo. Nope. I ended up using solid footing as a combat trick to save my creature, which it did, but I was disappointed that I couldn't get a really cool combo going. Next is Dreamtail Heron. It's 5 mana, 4 and a blue. It's a 3/4 flyer. Whenever this creature mutates, draw a card. Mutate for 4, 3 and a blue. This card is pretty cool. One of the rounds I did my typical blue-white flyers, and so I was actually able to get 2 of these. And being able to mutate onto like a mysterious egg and draw a card is pretty cool combo. Your 3/4 Terran becomes a 4/5 Terran flyer and drawing yourself a card. I didn't live in Christmas land and get another time to mutate onto it because both times that this happened, the next turn my creature is dead. It got killed by, destroy target creature, Heartless Act, But I lived the awesome combo for a moment, getting a 4/5 flyer and drawing a card, which is a really cool combo at common. So both Dreamtail Heron is common and so is Mysterious Egg. So I really liked Dreamtail Heron. Next is Honey Mammoth, 6 mana, 4 and 2 green. It's an elephant. It's a 6/6. When Honey Mammoth enters the battlefield, you gain 4 life. This card does not play very well at all. I drafted it and I played. It was like a late draft in a green, kind of an Obzani deck that I was running. Sure, I played it and it gained me 4 life, but without trample, and it was a blocker on the ground. But there's a lot of kind of cool combat tricks that get through this. And when you spent 6 mana to play this and you don't have anything to hold up on your side as combat, this dies pretty easy. So another card that I went in not rating very high, and after playing it, still am not high on the card. Checkpoint Officer, 2 mana, 1 and a white, Human Soldier. It's a 1/2. You can pay 1 and a white, tap it, and then tap target creature. No, I really wanted to like this card a ton. There's a couple of drawbacks to it. It costs 2 mana for 1/2, which I'm fine, but the activated ability cost, 1 and a white, too high. Maybe we're just used to having a single white mana or like a single colorless mana to do this. There were many times where I needed my mana to do other things, and I ended up, if I sunk mana into this to tap down the one creature, it really restricted. And then I had one of my friends in the play group play a couple of these, and the first game they got mana screwed. They ended up with, I think, 3 or 4 mana in the total game, and all they could do is tap down my biggest blocker, but they were then still taking 2 or 3 incidental damage with my other attackers. I wanted to like it a ton. I like these effects, but for the cost, the activated cost for this card, it became way too restrictive on mana. Okay, our first uncommon has one of the cool alternate arts. It's Necro Panther, 1 generic, 1 white, 1 black. It's a cat nightmare. It's a 3/3. It has mutate for 2 generic and then hybrid Orzhov. Whenever this creature mutates, return target creature with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Necro Panther I did like. I played an Obzon deck in the first round, and there were a couple of games where I was able to chain together Necro Panther after Necro Panther and then kept bringing back other creatures. It seemed like, as soon as a creature died in the graveyard, I was able to bring it back with Necro Panther. Really, really like this card. It was a fun include, and, it helped me stay on top with resources. And I was able to, if I remember right, in each of the games that I was lucky enough to get 2 Necro Panthers in the draft, and when I was able to draw both my Necro Panthers and play them, I won the game. So I big fan of Necro Panther, and I really like these alternate art cards. I think they're pretty cool. Pouncing Shore Shark. Oh, that's a hard one to say. It's 5 mana, 4 and a white. It's a shark beast at 4/3 with flash. Whenever this creature mutates, you may return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. Mutate for 4. This is a fun card. I played it in my blue-white deck, and mutating it onto a little dinky flyer, or even mutating it onto a mysterious egg at flash speed and bouncing a creature, great stuff. It won me some combat. It also, in one of the games, won me the game. I was able to mutate the flash in to bounce their attacker, and then after they kind of tapped in, figuring they're going to go in for the kill, and then on my turn, I had the open swing for victory. So Pouncing Shore Shark is a card that I really liked. Valiant Rescuer. Oh, I finally got one of these. I actually passed these 2 or 3 times in drafts. One time to a Necro Panther, and another time to, I can't remember, another really good white uncommon. So I really wanted to get one of these cards. So 2 mana, 1 and a white. It's a human soldier. It's a 3/1. Whenever you cycle another card for the first time each turn, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. It itself has cycling 2 generic. I wanted to get the red-white cycling deck and play it. Didn't pan out. I wasn't able to get it, mainly because I think everyone else at the table was trying to do red-white cycle in one of the rounds, because there was a flourishing fox that was going around, and then a Valiant Rescuer. This card, I really want to do a build around deck in a red-white deck that features cycling, maybe even a Jeskai cycling deck. This guy can get out of control real fast, and what really stinks is you want to hold your removal for some other bigger creature later on in the format. What I found playing against this deck, my removal had to take care of this guy. If not, red-white cycling or even Jeskai cycling has so many abilities to get 1/1s out there and other things that are incremental damage or other cool cycling tricks. I really like this guy, and I'm excited to try to do maybe a standard red-white or Jeskai cycling deck. Okay, our rare and mythic rare. Is it going to be something really cool? So pack one out of this bundle gets us something really awesome. It is Cub Warden. So for 4 mana, 3 and a white, we get a cat. It's a 3/5 lifelinker. Whenever this creature mutates, create 2/1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink. You can mutate for 2 generic and 2 white. Cub Warden is an interesting card. I wanted to draft it and play it. Unfortunately, my friend that drafted right ahead of me took it and then didn't play it. Wasn't even in white, and it wasn't like a pack 1 pick 1. It was like pack 3 pick 1. I was a little annoyed because he kind of likes to just hate draft rares so other people won't play them, even though he's not going to play them. So it was a little upsetting because in the blue-white deck I was playing, this would have fit in perfectly. It's a card that reminds me of some creatures that we've seen in the past. Leonin Warleader out of M19, Corset 2019. I like cat decks. I've got a green-white cat deck, which I feature, you know, some lifelink ability. It's more of a pioneer deck. Cub Warden, I think, could make the cut. It's something I'm going to check into and see if it makes sense. But it's a card that I haven't been able to play with, and I thought I was going to be able to play with it, but because my buddy drafted it and then didn't play it, I didn't either. So we've got a Rugged Highlands as our tap land, and then a companion. So what is your pick? And looking through the cards, pack one, pick one. If I were, picking this pack based upon, what I did in the previous draft and a little bit of experience, for me, it really came down to 3 cards. I know Cub Warden's a rare, and it's a pretty cool card that you can play with. But in our style of draft, it's probably going to come down to one of these 3 uncommons. Based upon, what I saw, Pouncing Shore Shark's pretty cool because it bounces a creature. But I would really choose between these 2. And really what I found that was a winning card for me was Necro Panther. I think it's close between Necro Panther and Valiant Rescuer, but in a draft I just didn't, in our drafts, there wasn't enough cycling going around that you really had to stretch, and you had to have the mana to really make it work. Whereas Necro Panther was a card that, like I said, I had some experience in playing with it. Wow, these cards are a little slippy, going all over the place. So Necro Panther would be my pack one, pick one pick. Pack one, pick one pick. Boy, there's a lot of P's in there. But Necro Panther is a card that, with experience, I had a lot of fun playing with it. Like I said, on one draft, I was able to get both of them. And at one point, I chained them together and brought one back from the graveyard to the battlefield. And so Necro Panther was able to win me some games, and I think it's definitely a card that, from a pack one, pick one standpoint, is something, you can go into. Wow, this was a long video. I did not intend it to be 17 minutes. I'm gonna have to speed up and do the other videos quite a bit quicker. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did like it, subscribe and share. Take some time to tell me in the comments section what was your favorite or best card out of the pack, meaning what was your pack one, pick one card. Until next time, when I'm back with my next pack number 2 in Magic the Gathering Ikoria Lair of Behemoths, what is your pick?